Hello and welcome back to the platform. This is a television mentorship program that connects aspiring entrepreneurs, creative industry professionals with seasoned leaders who have shaped their field. In today's episode, we invite internationally respected cultural entrepreneur, festival director and creative visionary. Mr. Jiggs Thorne joins us to share insights on how he has made it to the top of his business. Please stay with us as we meet our 4 participants before we delve deep into the conversation of the day.
Hello, my name is Nicholas Sibusiso Dlamini and I'm commonly known as Slaughter, and I'm from the city, the beautiful city with tar and no potholes. Bye-bye.
Well, hello, my name is Skanyiso SK Mabuza and I am from originally in Babane but recently in Mhlambanyati.
Hello, my name is Tasneem Dukunya and I am from Eswatini.
Igama ngumzwandile ngwakanxumalo lekubutheka ngithanda inkosi lekusebenta of course is Lucian. I'm an artist, I'm a arts entrepreneur, I'm a media practitioner, most importantly ngiliswati nakangwane.
The career that I'm currently in is basically I'm in the creative industry. I am a music producer, photographer, DJ, singer, songwriter, voiceover artist. For now, yeah, just as part of it.
Well, I was in construction for a bit, but I've shifted my focus into other things. But entertainment is definitely where my heart has been for the past few years.
I am currently the founder and designer at Craft Avenue. We are a beaded accessory jewelry brand.
The business that I'm in is in multimedia production, but most importantly, it's communication. And what I do, I'm a sound engineer and I am an arts entrepreneur. I'm a founder director of Kingdom XLR.
Why did I choose this specific career path? Let's just say I fell into it. Some of these things you don't really choose, they kind of choose you. So I'll go with that. I fell into it.
Because it's what I naturally gravitated to, because I'm naturally inquisitive and I just find myself, wanting to learn stuff about stuff.
Because of my passion for creativity and quality products.
Some of my career highlights and achievements is being a multi-award-winning music producer and winning quite a number of competitions that's outside of the country. That just went and showed me that, I definitely have something.
Some of them would include the IVLP nomination, which is the International Visitors Leadership Program with the US Embassy. That's one of them. And another one was, the recent one was collaborating with Bushfire and Luju Festivals in terms of marketing and media production.
My career highlights would be trading at the M10 Bushfire Festival and Luju Lifestyle, collaborating with big brands like Luna Hair and Body, and being part of the Dollar Spaces store at Malandela's and Ingwenya Glass.
It was a few years back, Bushfire. I was doing my thing and I just turned to my side. The Lerato Khanyaho was there, world-renowned DJ, MC herself. And we just started rocking, doing our thing. And then she pulled me up to the side later and just definitely gave me advice. Not that I need words of affirmation, but it's always good to hear,
Current projects or initiatives that I'm involved with at the moment, some I can't speak about, but the one that is closest to my heart and that I'm currently busy with is the one of collaboration with local artists. So I invite them to the studio, we make some music and we get that released just to ensure that we're able to show the creative freedom that we have and of course the diversity in the kingdom.
What sparked my interest in my business and career is to bridge the knowledge gap in terms of verbal cues and non-verbal cues in communication, and to assist the corporates in disseminating their information and audiovisual content, yes.
I would love to meet Jiggs because I'm pretty great at what I do, and honestly speaking, in terms of growth, I'm always looking to have a conversation with someone who I term to be in better standing and more experienced in a particular field, always room for growth.
He's hosted one of the biggest festivals, not in Africa, but in the world, so just to pick his mind, figure out, where he's gone, and yeah, I think that would be very beneficial to me.
I deserve to sit at the table with today's mentor because I am in an exciting growth stage of my business, and I would love the valuable guidance from the experience that he has from crafting a sustainable brand. So that's why, yeah.
I believe I deserve to sit with today's mentor because I've read the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, and law number 1 is never outshine the master. So I'm okay with being the little brother who's always going to be asking questions. Ngiyathumeka ke on top of that, so I'm okay with learning through that in the University of Life.
Alrighty, with that said, we welcome internationally respected cultural entrepreneur, festival director, and of course, a creative visionary. Joining us today is, of course, Mr. Jiggs Thorne, honoring our invitation as the champion for the day. Firstly, Jiggs, welcome to the platform.
Hello, lovely to be here. Quite an introduction. I think when we start out, there is no understanding or appreciation of the journey ahead of us.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful to be here to be able to share some of the insights that I've had through the kind of process over the years.
Beautiful. In front of you, we have icebreaker questions. Please pick 3 and answer them truthfully.
Truthfully?
Yes.
Oh, I'm going to have to put on my glasses. The first question is, which artist, living or dead, would you book if you could? Wow.
Sheesh.
I think that would have to be Bob Marley.
Whoa,
Yeah.
legendary.
Yeah, legendary,
Yeah.
the Bob. You know, he was an activist for kind of peace, diversity, inclusion, and you know, these are all kind of principles that are kind of foremost and need our utmost attention these days.
Yeah. It's nice.
So
Nice.
Mr. Bob Marley would be my number 1. If not a festival director, what career would you choose? You know, when I was younger, I always wanted to be a footballer.
Really? Wow.
My team, Manzini Wanderers,
Wesele.
Wesele, I'm a Wesele, and then Mahlanya United.
Let's go.
I was a football captain at school at Waterford, and the girls used to call me Vision.
Let's go. I love it.
What one unforgettable festival moment still gives you goosebumps? Sure, there have been so many over the years. You know, we turned 20 in 2027,
Yeah.
so it's our 19th edition next year. There have been so many memories, but I think, you know, what really stands out for me is going to other festivals and seeing Swazi artists on the stage. There's something extremely special about seeing your home folk on international platforms and kind of celebrating what is local. So
100%.
I think there's something very, very unique about that.
Right.
Beautiful.
That's amazing.
Thank you so much for that. That was as truthful as it gets. I mean, now we can maybe call you Vision Jiggs.
Well, maybe that's what the visionary
Yeah,
exactly. That's what I was thinking.
definitely. But just to start off the conversation, you know, your career spans over poetry, visual arts, and now major international festivals. Looking back, what first inspired you to start creating spaces like House on Fire and then creating the MTN Bushfire Festival?
I think it's underpinned by passion. There was almost an innate appreciation and understanding of what I needed to do. And I think we can all understand that in our own lives. Almost an impatience to kind of get there and make it happen. And
Yeah.
I kind of see that in Lucian a lot, just because he's so visible on social platforms. But yeah, there was a drive and a passion. I was always very creative. My parents were very creative and entrepreneurial. And there's that language that I think kind of parents and kind of the home environment shares through osmosis. You know, you kind of learn and you're kind of, you springboard into the opportunity that slowly starts to take shape and form.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think passion, desire, and creativity have kind of driven my sense of purpose within the festival and creative environment.
Beautiful. Like I had already mentioned, I'm joined by 4 participants, and we felt that, they are aligned to what you do or what you have done, and they are here to just, gather as much or absorb as much from you. So I'll allow Slaughter, to take it away and get deep into the conversation.
Of course.
Go for it,
Deepness
Slaughter.
it is. Deepness it is. I mean, just feeding off of the knowledge and experience that you've amassed over the years, basically, I just want to know, what are the core principles or values that guide you event planning? And how do you ensure it remains authentic and inclusive and impactful year after year? Yeah.
I think that's such a good question. There are so many events that are about entertainment for entertainment's sakes.
True.
And I strongly feel that you have to have a unique selling point. It's the silver bullet.
Yeah.
So for me, it's about kind of asking the questions, the why, what do I want to achieve? And this could be in any business. We're talking about the kind of creative space and festivals, but it really speaks to any business you get into is what am I trying to achieve? How do I realize that? How do I set myself apart? How do I offer something that's unique to the market? How am I relevant? How am I a change maker? It's not enough to do the same old, to kind of repeat a formula. And this is where we have to go to be successful. You go to the marketplace and you see all the traders selling the same old things. And, something I've often wanted to do, I mean, this is just a kind of a concept in terms of what we're discussing here is how could you make yourself stand out in that row of vegetable fruit sellers?
Yes,
How do you, how could you represent yourself? So, I think to answer your question, it comes back to the why, to have a very clear kind of vision and mission, and to make sure that drives the essence of what you do. You can't stray from that. Things develop, but you've always got to remain rooted in that integrity of the why. I think if you can establish that, you have a very good chance of developing a sustainable product.
Beautiful. Amazing.
That's great insight. Thank you. My question is, as a trader at Bushfire, what are the key factors do you use when selecting the traders? And for an aspiring entrepreneur, how could they then best position themselves to trade at MTN Bushfire?
Great. Well, we kind of slaughter straight into the festival. Tess, thanks for the question. I think to say, curation from a festival perspective, and it speaks to the why, is we don't just say, we've got a festival, come and trade. It's not about the income we're trying to generate. It's about finding traders that align with the philosophy and with the essence, the identity of the festival. It's also about finding traders that can obviously kind of support the requirements, the production, 23,000 people coming in, the quality. So, we have call-outs pre-festival, for people to apply. There's a very clear criteria around what we're kind of looking for. So it's kind of a questionnaire that people fill in, and we get a very good sense of who you are, what you're about, your track record, your history. Are you a startup? Do you have that track record experience? Do you understand the kind of philosophy of sustainability? Kind of where are you sourcing your products? What kind of packaging are you using? Because this speaks to our kind of sustainability kind of mandate as a festival. We're obviously looking to work with established entities that offer a diversity and a range of foods, but we're also looking to bring in young, burgeoning upstarts as well. So where we see an opportunity for somebody who's got a really great concept, who may have not been in the space for too long. We're also kind of identifying those organizations, businesses, people, and saying, you know, this would be a great concept to try and nurture and develop. And we've seen that over the years through the festivals is brands coming in and kind of, you know, suddenly opening up businesses of their own. And I'm not saying that's happened solely through the festival, but festivals certainly offer these traders an opportunity to come into an environment and to test their product against a range of other traders. You know, we have in the region of close to, I would say, 90, 100 traders, and that's across food and artisanal spaces at the festival. So it's a really amazing space to kind of test your product in an international arena. I hope I've answered your question.
You have. Thank you.
I like how you touch on international arena, and you spoke a little bit about sustainability. So I've had the privilege of going to the US through an exchange program with the US Embassy, and half the time I was speaking about bushfire. Why? Because that's the only reference, or maybe let me say closest reference, that I have in terms of identifying who you are in the international market space and shining within what you are great at. So I want to speak of the originality and how do you maintain being relevant to who you are. And when I say who you are, I'm personifying the festival, right? To who the festival is, to its people, which is the Kingdom of Eswatini, and the international, I say, community. So how important is it to maintain originality, authenticity while scaling? Because the platform is scaling in a very impressive rate.
Thank you. That's a great question. Relevancy is the word that kind of always sticks with me. Is, you know, how are you relevant? It comes back to the why. And you know, I think since our inception, we've looked to be sustainable.
Right.
We've looked to kind of be an agent for the change that we would like to see. We use arts as the vehicle to engage and introduce ideas, themes, and issues, pertinent issues of our time. The SDGs in the main. So we're looking at a range, you know, from kind of civil liberties to minority rights to the environment, education, gender equality. You know, all of these dynamics come into the way in which we shape our themes and create programs and supporting content that promotes dialogue and discussion, participation, and action around these themes. I think it's so important that we are relevant. There's a requirement for us to be so.
Right.
Consumers are looking for that. You know, as we become more conscientized in terms of what we need to realize to be sustainable, because you know, whether we like it or not, it's becoming more and more of an issue. More businesses need to be kind of taking on this philosophy and outlook. It's not enough to kind of purely look at the bottom line. And ironically, if you can take on a kind of a sustainable approach to business, an ethical business, if you like, you can still be profitable. Because why? Consumers are looking for it. They're saying, why am I buying this product? You know, when I buy my tuna, for example, I make sure that, you know, it's tuna that's sourced, without using drag nets, for example. So it's kind of a sustainable approach to how they are sourcing and farming their tuna. And that's why I buy the product. So I think there's a way of kind of being relevant and kind of framing your product and still be relevant to the consumer. I think a lot of business out there says, well, how can I be ethical and still make the margin I'm looking for? I really question that.
Amazing, thank you.
Good question. I want to touch a little bit on, it's lenient to what she had asked. You did speak about identity. I just wanted to find out, what would you say are 3 top qualities an MC should have when selecting your MCs, and what weight do you put in that in keeping the festival going, engaging the people? What would you say with those three qualities for you?
Great. So we're moving on to the MC space.
Yes,
I like the way
Yes,
you know,
sir.
we've got different environments here,
Yes,
different
sir.
pockets. So SK, MCing. I'm going to start off by saying, you know, we've obviously gone through the process of identifying MCs to come in and work with the festival.
Yeah.
So, you know, we've got so many different platforms, so many kind of MCs that kind of speak to certain environments. Different environments require different kind of MC styles and approaches. So I think the first thing you're looking for in an MC is an MC who understands the product, the identity of the space, the language that is needed on a particular stage or platform. I think a lot of MCs just pitch up.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I mean? I'm an MC.
Yeah.
So there's no homework. People aren't going, well, DHL are looking for an MC to support their product visibility. There's a road show, around town. You know, there's no inquiry into, the organization's mandate, how they position themselves, because ideally you're wanting an MC to understand and appreciate that language before they arrive, so that they are engaging with that identity, the terminology, the language, speak of that organization. I think that's critical. And I think it says the same for kind of artists coming, who are applying for a certain event, whether it's a hip hop or, is it kind of world music? Are you understanding and appreciating the nuances? You've obviously got to have what it takes as well. You've got to be alive. You've got to be engaging. You've got to have that energy that makes people feel comfortable. You've got to be engaging. I think another big thing is making sure you're adaptable, because Bello, I mean, you do a lot of work in Eswatini. It's a small market. You've got to be able to adapt to different stages and different environments, and that is about, and again, understanding what it is you're speaking to, aligning with the identity, and making sure that you're relevant in that space. So adaptability is a very big one.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Even I'm taking more notes. The MTN Bushfires Bring Your Fire mandate has become more than just a slogan. It's a call to action that inspires advocacy, sustainability, and most importantly, and beautifully so, community empowerment. Can you just walk us through how this philosophy shapes the festival experience and how you've seen it translate into real impact beyond the festival itself?
Sure, that's a big question. I'll try and be really brief. So we have the call to actions for Bushfire. The call to action is Bring Your Fire.
Yes.
The call to action for Standard Bank Luju Food and Lifestyle Festival is a return to the African future. So Bring Your Fire speaks to a collective response for positive social change. It comes back to the why. It comes back to the idea that arts can be transformative. It comes back to the idea that you can be more than entertainment for entertainment's sakes. It's such a beautiful thing it's an inquiry. You kind of think, well, how are we going to activate every year? What do we want to say? It's such an empowering thing. The same thing with the return to the African future is, a return to the African future essentially speaks to reclaiming heritage, or exploring heritage and reclaiming identity. So it speaks to kind of returning to the future. It speaks to how the past informs the present. It speaks to our understanding of ourselves and digging in and going there, It's about understanding your story. It's an African narrative which has to be engaged with. It has to, we have to make it blossom.
Right.
Yeah.
More so than ever. I mean, we talk about kind of, the popular media and what we see on screens. And, what you see is normally what you get and what you become. It's a real challenge in kind of unlearning and saying, well, exposure isn't bad, but how do I relate that to my own environment? And, how do I tell my own story? So this is a rather long-winded way of just kind of coming back to those call to actions. And I think we've seen that inquiry, inform the way we curate, how we curate. We have a lot of platforms that support development in and around the festival. So we've got the Arts Roundtable, which is an arts industry development platform. We have the Schools Festival. We have outreach programs that we call live dialogues, where we have discussions around a range of pertinent issues. These are outreach programs where we engage people beyond the festival environment and arena, which is really important because you don't want to kind of pocket that experience. You want that exposure and those discussions to permeate through. I can speak for hours on this, but I think the underlying dynamic here is having a reason for why you get up every day, that it basically embodies and kind of offers that framework to your business. Business for me is about relationships, so it's how you relate.
Yeah.
Yes, you make a living, and importantly so, but I think it's kind of stripping away that kind of concept of business and how you relate to the world, and making sure that you're in your power and that you can bring your A game, that you're really excited about how you can engage with people out there.
All right, thank you so much for that. One day I'll also speak about the work that I've done so passionately. But right now we will be taking a short commercial break. When we return, it's more conversation and more knowledge, but that is only when we return.
My future goals or aspirations is to just keep blowing up every single day, every single minute, ensure that I'm the best version of myself because everyone else is taking me.
My future goal is to inspire many people and hopefully own and start an empire, you know what I mean?
To trade internationally and mentor young entrepreneurs within my field.
Future aspirations and future goals is to establish platforms that will equip Eswatini to leverage the platform that we have and to leverage Buntu bethu, namasiko ethu, and just arts in general to boost the economic impact through the arts.
I am inspired by life in its entirety. I mean, the things that we go through, the things that we see, the experiences that we share with different people, that's what feeds into how I end up creating stuff.
I'm inspired by all the young people that are coming behind me. I see them, they're doing their own thing and they're definitely going against the grain. That's definitely inspired because, you come from a place where everything's kind of rigid. Do this, do that, don't move like this. And they kind of just doing their own thing. And that's quite inspiring to me.
I am inspired by nature, culture, faith, and other African creatives.
I'm inspired by storytelling, I'm inspired by life stories, I'm inspired by inspirational and achievements of Eswatini, and most importantly, I'm inspired by the almighty creator of the heaven and earth, God.
What I like to do during my spare time is rest. And by rest, for me, it's also seemingly work because I'm always learning stuff.
I like to hang out with my friends. I picked up drawing again. I used to like drawing, so yeah. Also trying to learn how to DJ, so that's something that's,
I enjoy gardening, especially taking care of my roses. I enjoy spending time with my family and creating new designs.
Ultimately, I like to watch podcasts when there's nothing to do.
How I view young people in the kingdom in relation to their passion, work ethic, and entrepreneurial knowledge. It's a case of, there's always room for growth in certain things. They are very talented, truth be said, and they are able to think outside of the box, which is beautiful. Now it's just a matter of consistency in what they do.
Very vibrant. As I mentioned before, they go against the grain. So they're self-driven. That's also something that I've noticed. And very ambitious. I mean, extremely, extremely ambitious.
Well, the youth in Eswatini is very energetic, vibrant, and their work ethic is Gen Z vibe, like we work hard if it's going to give us back,
Hello and welcome back. If you just tuned in, you are tuned into The Platform, which is, of course, a television mentorship program. And in today's episode, we are fortunate enough to be joined by Mr. Jiggs Thorne, and coming to you from Sibane Hotel, which is situated in Eswatini. If you want to find out what they have to offer, please do visit www.sibaniSamiHotel.co.za. But now we get to continue the conversation. Welcome back to everyone. Before I just, throw you in.
Thank you.
As you know, you've built so many connections across Southern Africa, especially with the initiative, which is Igoda, I believe. What have been the biggest lessons for you in fostering regional, artistic collaborations?
We'll try and be short with my answers this session. So networks are critical to grow any business, any enterprise. Really what it's about is kind of linking people up and sharing information.
Yeah.
It speaks to access to markets, it speaks to arts mobility, sharing of best practice in our space. But yeah, I think kind of practical and structured networking and partnerships can make a huge difference to advancing learning from partners across the region, and importantly kind of forging linkages that could develop your brand. So I would be very supportive of that. I think it's making sure that the partnerships are practical and realistic, and a lot of continental networks have suffered because of the huge distances and the language barriers in between.
That's real.
Man, the gems are just being dropped here today. Man. It's crazy. But along that line of, regional integration, and expansion and growth and collaborations, I'm just thinking of, being in the creative sector, what is the importance of the creative sector, in informing policies, both regionally and of course, what would be the role of private partnerships in all of this?
Great question. So my little comment here would be government needs to take more cognizance, or they need to recognize what the creative sector can bring to the economy. We speak about the creative economy.
Yeah.
And we had the University of the Northwest come in this year to conduct a survey. The creative economy in 2018 around Bushfire was 50 million. That's around the festival. That's what kind of enterprises, business generate around the festival event. We're thinking it's closer to 100 million in 2025. We'll wait to see. So there's huge opportunities. Some environments like Jamaica, for example, have reggae as a brand. People go there and knowing that. So there's huge opportunity. Arts can't be last on the budget. There has to be inquiry. There has to be an understanding of what the possibilities are. And I always say, Swaziland is a living culture.
That's amazing. I like how you touched on that, Slaughter, because for me, it just speaks of economic development through the arts, which is the same program I was speaking about earlier, and brings me to the specific artists in Eswatini, what this means to them, because often at times we get lost in looking at arts as just entertainment, yet it could be a creative driver or even economic driver. So I'm curious, with having platforms like Collaboration, having platforms like specifically the Arts Roundtable, where you're bridging the gap, or rather we are bridging the knowledge gap, and just equipping ourselves and at least understanding where we are in comparison to where the world market is. So I want to find out from you, how important or what advice would you give the local creative arts entrepreneur to maybe push themselves to know more, or rather learn more from the speakers that come through, and how important is it to have the round tables and the conversations, and what sponsors the theme, or what's the sponsoring thoughts behind each year for each theme in order to bridge the knowledge gap?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's quite a political issue because I feel, we've got a very young, burgeoning kind of industry, and there's so much to learn. And when you travel around the world, you appreciate that economies and environments are incredibly different. You've just come back from the States, and I'm sure that was a huge learning experience. It doesn't detract what we have in terms of, I always say I go away to come back, because this is home. This is where the heart is. This is where we make our stories. But exposure is critical. We need environments that actively support and develop industries. People have to want to be there. I mean, we have these environments. I often feel that they're not properly utilized, that people don't appreciate how much value you can get from industry professionals, creative industry professionals, coming in from across the region, around the world, coming to share their information. Mentorship, skills share are critical not in kind of establishing shortcuts to your goal, but it's integral to having a better appreciation and understanding of the market, locally, but internationally as well. We have to be competitive. So yeah, I really encourage people to take advantage of industry professionals, in the holidays, mentorship, to go through and see if you can get kind of job experience. You've got to push yourself forward. So many artists and industry professionals sit back in the shadows waiting for that call. You've got to be proactive. You've got to put yourself out there. You have to make use of these platforms.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was lovely insight going around with the economy and the platform that we have. As traders at Bushfire, how do we contribute to the local economic empowerment?
Well, significantly so. I'll share some data. So traders at Bushfire 2024 made over 10 million in Malangeni. So when we speak about the creative economy and economic drivers, it's happening right there. As I said, we've seen traders come in and really kind of establish and solidify business within that kind of trading environment. So there's huge opportunity, again, to kind of test your product. You're part of the experience. And this is why, the curation process is critical and integral to making sure that that festival go experience is recognized and is on point through our kind of very kind of curated, kind of highly selective process in identifying the traders that we have come in, making sure that they have the experience, the diversity, that they're reflecting the festival mandate in terms of kind of sustainability, and really just taking the product and the experience to the next level. So, it's really about kind of inquiry. It's about post-mortem, what worked, what didn't. This is what we do as a festival, and I would encourage traders to do the same, to think about how you're taking that experience to the next level. That it has to be that. You can't be static, right? I think growth requires us to kind of consistently kind of think about that next step.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's actually pretty
pretty awesome. But I mean, festivals, first and foremost, they're about the people, the audience. How would you then say that the relationship between MCs and artists, what weight would you put on that in making sure that the festival goes well? As well as that, how can artists and MCs contribute to the outside of the stage towards the community?
So I think the MCs need to know who the artists are. It speaks to preparation and research. You know, Bushfire has a very diverse range of artists that come in from all over the place. We don't expect the MCs to know who they are. You stumble upon these performances. So MCs need to do the homework. You know, they need to do the research so that if they are introducing them, they have a complete and kind of a solid understanding of who they're kind of bringing up onto stage. I think MCs and artists, you know, are festival ambassadors. You want an MC to kind of feel like, you know, they are carrying the brand, you know, that they're putting that first in terms of how they relate, how they contribute to the overall atmosphere, and how they kind of take that beyond the festival. You know, I'd like to think Bello is an ambassador outside of the event. So yeah, these are all kind of critical aspects that an MC needs to consider.
Thank you so much for that. You know, I like that we're speaking about MCs, but now we need to bring it down to the team that makes the festival what it is. Fortunate enough is that, you know, you've created such a solid team for the MTN Bushfire Festival, that being your partners and, of course, your family. We're fortunate enough to also have Philippa on the show, and I asked her, you know, just the importance of making sure that the people around you understand what you're doing and contribute to your vision. But that can also make or break you, because the relations sometimes are tested. The relationships are tested by the common goal. How have you managed to keep a strong team behind you for such a festival? That being your family, and of course, just all of us that are, you know, a part of the festival.
Yeah, I think that's probably been the biggest lesson of all. In essence, it speaks to communication. It speaks to managing ego, and you know, it's recognizing that everybody has something to contribute, and everybody needs to feel included. And I'm happy to say that we've all found our spaces, you know, from a family perspective, over time. And again, communication is at the heart of that. We have an extremely strong connection as a family. That is really the bedrock of the festival, and that's expanded into the broader festival team. It's a local team. You know, it's a team that over the years has become a lot more, has much more ownership of their environment, of their respective environments. It's a proudly Eswatini product. You spoke about partners and sponsors. They, of course, are the next layer. And partners and sponsors are critical to a festival's sustainability, because there are huge financial costs involved in putting on events.
And, you know, speaking of teams and events, there's a lot of running around that occurs during these phases and these processes, basically. So now, I mean, just to sort of mellow it down, in essence, I'm curious, look, in an industry that's always on, you know, how important is intentional downtime and reflection for you and your team? And how does that look in practice?
Sure. Well, I don't want this to become something that's kind of sticks, but I often say I'm positively overwhelmed, just because we're constantly at it. Festivals, Bushfire, Luju, and all the other businesses that we run, you know, it's year round. It's a cycle. You don't stop. There's no downtime. You know, we're already kind of looking at postmortems and timelines and budgeting. You know, we're already into that cycle. You know, we start selling Bushfire tickets next month in September. So you're so on point there is that you've got to be able to find balance. And I think this is the same for any business, right? Is that kind of, that balance, that kind of work-life, family balance, and finding pockets and space for you and for your family and for your teams. So you can all, find that equilibrium and you can come back and be the best you can be, because you can't run on empty. It's just not that's not sustainable, and we all know when we get there. It's a balancing act, isn't it?
Amen to that.
That's amazing. I like when you spoke of the MCs and the artists being the festival ambassadors. So it takes me back to 2022 when I had the privilege to play with my band at the Bushfire Festival. And I realized that with having such a platform like that, you now also, as an artist who is established in the kingdom of Eswatini, I often have this I'd say philosophy of a spring, that a spring has potential to jump, but then when you stretch it, you mess up the design. What I'm trying to say is importance of kutehlisa, which is a humility enough to say, hey, if Bushfire or any other festival in the world, but specifically Luju and Bushfire, when the call to action to apply, what advice would you give to an established artist that, it's still okay to humble yourself and apply? Because I was doing so many things in that year, but I still applied. So how important, or what would you say to even established artists? Of course, it goes without saying with budding, upcoming artists, but even when you've done the work, still come back and apply, not only to Bushfire, but what's the importance of applying as an artist?
It's critical, Lucian, and and I said this earlier, don't stand in the shadows and wait for people to engage you. And this is a general kind of, philosophy on life. You've got to put your best foot forward. You've got to get in there. You've got to engage. And not just around the call-out period, but, hi, I'm SK, I'm an MC. This is the kind of work I've done, I would, I'm looking around, I'm interested, are there any opportunities? And I would say, well, I would like to see the kind of work you've done. Do you have any links? Do you have kind of content you can? So we've got to put ourselves forward. We don't want to kind of sit back and expect people to come to us. This is a supply and demand market. It's not any different in the arts. You don't say, because think I'm a great artist, you should book me. It doesn't work like that.
That's true.
In any business, if you've got to have the product, and if you want to have the product, you've got to be proactive in introducing and engaging. Don't make assumptions.
Genius. Thank you.
Well, you've obviously amassed incredible success throughout the years with the festival. I'd like to know, what role do you see Luju and Bushfire playing in shaping the creative space of Eswatini's art scene in the next 10 years?
Well, I believe it's done tremendous things over the years. I think importantly for us is recognizing that we need to avail spaces to local stories. It's about kind of making sure that we have quality product as well, because we have a standard that we're looking to realize. And so, I think it's about kind of trying to realize a lot of the points that we've been discussing today is about how we collectively develop as brands, as individual, as traders, as producers, how we collectively working to develop our products, be relevant. We have the commitment to support and tell local stories, and that's what we would like to realize. That is the mandate. We saw Sibu Manzini on the Luju stage the other day. I think Sibu and his featured artists are doing something really incredible there. And taking local performance to a nice level.
All right, I think, Jiggs, there's one question that wasn't asked. You know, today you came as the inspiration, but who inspires you? Just briefly before we wrap up.
Sure, who inspires me? Sure. There's so many people. I think my parents, I think are the greatest inspiration. I think what they taught me was that relationships are at the heart of everything. You know, they arrived in Eswatini during a very difficult political period. We had apartheid South Africa next door.
Yeah.
And their philosophy was about being part of the environment in which you were in. So they you know, it was a very proactive process of reaching out, not just because they had to, but because it was who they were. So yeah, they were part of the environment in which they lived. They had wholesome relationships. And you know, I think it kind of supports the way in which we approach business through relationships. Supporting and developing local is very much part of that philosophy as well. So I would like to acknowledge our parents, Jenny and Peter Thorne Malandela.
Long live Malande.
And Margaret Jenny Thorne.
I think a lot of what we talked about was branding, alignment, and just placement, I'd say. How would you then maybe advise upcoming artists or MCs to kind of like the importance of branding and alignment, and how they would go about it?
Yeah, I think it's critical. I think it speaks to how you're setting yourself up as a brand and as a business. I think it's really important that you have that sense of identity and purpose from the onset. You know, the why. You know, how are you giving definition to yourself as a brand? It's really important that you're not just somebody arriving saying, I do MC work.
Yeah.
You know, so you've got to develop that brand for yourself, like other businesses do. You've got to find purchase through active engagement, taking that positive, you know, starting small. I always say, you know, people say, well, how do you get there? You start small, and it's organic, and you grow it, and it's slow, and you've got to be in there for the long term. It's the marathon. It's going 15 rounds with Mike Tyson.
Let's go.
And you know, being able to kind of stand up when you've fallen and where you felt vulnerable, and that you know you get back, and you do it again.
All right. Thank you so much to everyone for your questions. I think we have exhausted our champion. I mean, we got all we could. And just to you, Jiggs, thank you so much for your guidance throughout the show, your inspiration, your insights, and, you know, just empowering the next generation of change makers in Eswatini and beyond. Thank you so much.
It's been an absolute privilege being with you all. Thank you for all bringing your fire, as you say.
Yes.
Yeah. Take the malakwane twimba.
All right, viewers at home, that was, of course, Mr. Jiggs Thorne. Thank you to you for sticking around throughout the hour. We do hope, and we always believe that this will be of great benefit to the youth of Eswatini and to anyone at home who's looking, you know, as an aspiring entrepreneur, a creative, or just, you know, looking to find a bit of hope here in Eswatini. There is definitely hope, and we can only hope that you change makers, you know, bring it to the table. Everything that you gathered today, we'll be seeing it play out in the future. But just like that, we have to love, we have to leave you. Until next time, it is goodbye and God bless.
My key takeaways would be that first and foremost, you need to align yourself. Branding is very important. Align yourself with an identity. You can always have an event that's just all fun and everything, but if without the identity, then that's where the true magic happens. And as well as just preparation, you know. He mentioned something about like MCs just showing up and not actually doing their homework. So preparation is key, and that's my biggest takeaway.
My key takeaways would be always stay in the know, always know what your next step is in business, and as you rebrand yourself or grow your product, just always be in the know.
My key takeaways with the Breakfast with Jiggs, first of all, it was amazing. What I take home is how important the arts is to the industry, especially when we talk of economic development. We need to position ourselves and leverage of the ideas and relationships that we form as we move the culture forward. And specifically, we need to positively advocate for policy change or policy making that will accommodate arts as an industry and as an economic driver in the Kingdom of Eswatini.
Shows like the platform are very important and informative simply because there are so many questions that we tend to ask basically amongst ourselves, and when you have the opportunities to actually talk with the people that these questions are supposed to be directed to, it works in everyone's favor because now you get to hear those responses basically from said individuals.
It is important to have shows like the platform to inform everyone, the youth especially, about information that is available outside, other than because they wouldn't have had the opportunity to speak to Jiggs himself. So having platforms like this enable them to get access to information and knowledge.
Shows like the platform are very important for our screens. Number one, for the viewer, and number two, for the mentors and mentees. So it's a three-dimensional kind of impact where from a perspective of someone listening, they can realize, I don't have to watch all these international programs that feel so far-fetched. This is one that is very close to home with familiar faces that are making real impact in our local vicinity. Yeah.
And that is how we conclude today's episode. We believe that an opportunity is all you need, and we are always ready to give you the platform. Babugula Makaya, that is how we wrap up things for today. It has been such an insightful time with Mr. Jiggs Thorne, and please do stay tuned as we continue to bring you the greatest of Eswatini's leaders, accompanied by industry professionals, aspiring entrepreneurs, and more creative. Until next time, from myself, Belon Kosi, and the team, we have to love, we have to leave you. It is good night and God bless.